Hello good people and welcome back to Ovidius Tech. The time has come to finally review the Seagate FireCuda 530 1TB. I was very curious about its performance for quite some time now, and fortunately its price came down recently, so I bought it for today's review. FireCuda 530 is a high-end PCI Express 4.0 NVMe SSD having DRAM for caching that is advertised as being designed for ultimate gaming speeds of up to 7300 MB per second. This model has the highest endurance that you may find on a gaming SSD, which makes it equally good for productivity related tasks. The 1TB model has an endurance of 1275 TB written, compared to MSI Spatium M480, which only have an endurance of 700 TB written. FireCuda 530 is producing capacities of 500 GB, 1 TB, 2 TB and 4 TB, and benefits from a 5-year warranty within the specific endurance limit and free data recovery services if needed. The box has a unique design with nice orange background. The plastic holder inside the box is different than anything else seen before. Its back is filled with white and colored Seagate adhesive logos and the Rescue Plus folding booklet. The drive is held in place by a cover and comes inside a sealed anti-static bag. Like other high-end drives, this drive is also single-sided, which can be advantageous for compatibility and cooling. The front label is a simple one with no role in heat dissipation. The testing of FireCuda 530 1TB drive will be performed after mounting it in both the motherboard's PCI Express 4.0 and PCI Express 3.0 slots, both of them being provided with heatsinks. In Windows, in order for a new drive to be used, we must first initialize it. For that, we just need to open Disk Management. Once opened, I am prompted to initialize the newly added disk. I click OK and the initialization is done. The next step is to create a volume. For that, right-click on the unallocated space and create a new volume of maximum capacity, assign a drive letter and a volume label, then click Next and finish. The newly created volume can now be used. The cTools application can diagnose hard drives and monitor SSDs. Right from the start, it displays all the installed drives in the Health tab. My FireCuda has full life and 122 MB written. The rest of the details can be found by clicking on the drive details: serial number, form factor, firmware version, interface type and the smart monitoring details. The quick test runs a short self-test which is obviously passed. But what about the firmware update? The option can be found in the Advanced tab. Unfortunately, it only offers the manual update if we have a newer firmware downloaded locally. On the Erase tab, we can format or clean the data on a Seagate disk. On the Utility tab, there is a link to Disk Wizard software that allows cloning the data to a new drive. Now let's see if I can find a newer firmware on the product support page. So here people should enter the drive serial number, then search for latest firmware. Sure, I can do that, no problem. So here I enter the serial number and nothing. Totally dumb. So I will let them know that this was not helpful at all. All the tests are done, so let's see how it compares with the other 1TB NVMe drives with DRAM tested here. In Crystal Dismark, in a peak performance test with 1GB file, FireCuda 530 gets the first place with sequential speeds as advertised and slightly better random speeds than Spatium M480. In the peak performance test with 8GB file, it keeps the advertised sequential speeds and the better random speeds, this time occupying the second place. In the real-world performance test with 1GB file, the Seagate drive places the third, below the MSI one, due to its lower sequential read speed but having the highest write speeds from all. However, in a real-world performance test with 8GB file, FireCuda 530 falls on the fourth place due to weaker sequential read speed, although it had the highest write speed from all. ASSD benchmark determines the sequential and random read and write performance of the SSD without using the operating system cache. In the test with 1GB file, FireCuda 530 falls below Spatium M480 with just 3 points, although it had better sequential speeds. In the test with 10GB file, FireCuda 530 occupies the 4th position with 7,809 points. In the Passmark Dismark testing, the FireCuda 530 gets the 2nd position, below Spatium M480 with 380 points less. On PCI Express 4.0, Seagate FireCuda 530 maintained average temperatures, both on idle at 38 degrees and during Crystal Dismark testing, when it reached a maximum temperature of 53 degrees. On PCI Express 3.0, all the high-end drives are trying to force interfaces limits to the maximum. Let's see the FireCuda 530 achievements. In Crystal Dismark, in a peak performance test with 1GB file, FireCuda 530 occupies the 3rd position, shadowing MSI's drive results. And the same can be said in a peak performance test with 8GB file, FireCuda 530 placing again the 3rd. In the real-world performance test with 1GB file, FireCuda 530 takes the 1st place, having the highest write speeds from all. And it holds the 1st place also in a real-world performance test with 8GB file, showing again the highest write speeds from all. In the ASSD benchmark with 1GB file, FireCuda 530 seconds the Spatium M480 with 13 points less. And the same can be said in a test with 10GB file, where FireCuda 530 gets the 3rd position with a score of 6,788 points. In the Passmark Dismark testing, the FireCuda 530 gets the 3rd position, again below Spatium M480. On PCI Express 3.0, Seagate FireCuda 530 maintained average temperatures both on idle at 36 degrees and during Crystal Dismark testing, when it reached a maximum temperature of 49 degrees. The 3D Mark storage benchmark evaluates performance by running gaming-related tasks and repeats them 3 times, this way managing to stress the drives enough to get a clear differentiation in terms of gaming performance. Therefore, the testing on PCI Express 4.0 places the Seagate drive on the 3rd place with a score of 3,595 points. The Forspoken benchmark tests the load times of different game scenes, providing the individual results. I repeat the testing 3 times and pick the run with the best average. On PCI Express 4.0, the best average load time positions FireCuda 530 on the 2nd place between MSI and Western Digital drives. On PCI Express 3.0, the 3D Mark storage benchmark score is even between Seagate and MSI drives, but the bandwidth result favors FireCuda 530. The best average load time in Forspoken benchmark on PCI Express 3.0 positions again FireCuda 530 on the 2nd place between MSI and ADATA drives. In the left chart, we can see the best current prices of tested drives in Romania, the usable capacity in megabytes, and the endurance for each of them. In the right chart is the resulted price for 100 megabytes of usable capacity. For FireCuda 531 TB, 100 megabytes of usable capacity costs now just €7.68, beating the cost of Kingston and MSI drives. Based on the 5 years warranty of the drives and their rated endurance, we can determine the amount of data in gigabytes that can be written each day during the warranty. And the FireCuda 531 TB supports daily writes of up to 715 GB of content due to its huge endurance. Now let's relate the price to the performance. Seagate FireCuda 531 TB costs today 353 RON, equivalent to 71 euros. Considering its price and performance in 3D Mark storage benchmark on PCI Express 4.0 as 100%, we can see that MSI Spatium M480 costs 46% more for 2% less performance. If we consider Spatium M480's price and performance in 3D Mark storage benchmark as 100%, then we see that FireCuda 530 costs 26% less for 2% more performance. Although the synthetic benchmarks looks favorable to the MSI drive, the Seagate drive had better random speeds. And FireCuda 530 proved its strength in the 3D Mark storage benchmark where it beat Spatium M480 on both tests. On top of this, it has a huge endurance and a lower price. So no matter how we look at them, FireCuda 530 is cheaper and better than Spatium M480. After all, if we take off all the labels and compare them visually, we will see the same black printed circuit board, the same components and cutouts, and the same component placement. We won't be able to tell which is which because they seem to be the same product. Also, if we look in the testing results of Autodisk benchmark, we can barely differentiate between the two. However, there is a small difference, namely that FireCuda has a DDR4 4200 DRAM chip, while Spatium has a DDR4 2666 DRAM chip. The look as well as the performance of FireCuda 530 makes it one of the best picks given the current prices. It couldn't be the established champion in terms of speed, but I think the next one will. I hope this video has been informative for you. From me, a big thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and also to subscribe in order to be notified when I release new content. Until next time, spend responsibly. God help.